The most important things to know about the iPhone X. The big day finally arrived. Apple unveiled the newest models of the iPhone. The iPhone X along with the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus were introduced to the public in the new Steve Jobs Theater. There are a few things that the reveal confirmed what we learned from the various leaks, but there were still a few surprises, so here's what you need to know. Number 1 is called 10. The latest model isn't the anti-climactic 9. I wonder if there will be one next year. But that seems silly. iPhone X is iPhone 10 to make the 10-year anniversary of the smartphone. Number 2, it ditched the home button. True to what the leaks speculated, the new phone now has an on-screen home button, doing away with the circular bottom one found in all iPhones since their inception. What this allows is a huge 5.8-inch OLED Super Retina display. To wake your phone, all you have to do is lift it. The control center will now be accessible by swiping down from the top right corner of the phone. Number 3, forget Touch ID. There's now Face ID. Welcome to the future. To unlock your phone, all you have to do is look at it. The Super Retina display contains the true depth camera which backs up Face ID. This is how you will authenticate online payments and authorized saved passwords. So next time you have that big online shopping splurge, you literally have to face the damage you did. The Face ID is said to still work despite hats, sunglasses, and makeup. Number 4, longer battery time. Compared to the 7, the iPhone X will have 2 hours more battery time. This is thanks to Apple's latest processor called the A11 Bionic. This allows for 30% faster graphics when put up against the 7 with its A10 processor. Number 5, wireless charging. iPhone users know the pain of losing or breaking the charging wire. That will no longer be a reality for a X user. The X will get its juice via a plate at the back of the phone that receives inductive currents from a charging pad called AirPower. Number 6, yes, the camera is better. The dual camera system of the iPhone was retained for this latest model, but it's not vertically positioned at the back of your phone. The quality of photos shall now be crisper and better with 12MP sensors and image stabilizers. The front-facing camera will also allow for better selfies with the ability to blur the background, allowing for a depth of field feature found in DSLR camera. Number 7, more expressive emojis. Animoji is the phone's 3D emojis that can reflect the minuscule details of an expression. Thus, your fox, cat, and dog emojis can express an emotion tailored to your own facial expression. But you can only send and see it via iMessage. Number 8, what's it made of? The X is made of steel and glass. We don't know yet how sturdy it will be, and it is so far only going to be in 2 colors, space gray and silver. The headphone jack, which was eradicated with the 7, remains nowhere to be found. Number 9, don't forget about the price tag. The million-dollar question, how much is it? The X only has 2 versions in terms of capacity. The tag is at $999 for a 64 GB. The 256 GB one is at $1,149. Number 10, when can I get it? You can pre-order on October 27 over the website, and shipping starts on November 3. Consider it your early Christmas gift to yourself. For at least 3 Christmases over, Apple had high expectations to fulfill ahead of the launch of the iPhone X, and one thing's for certain, it didn't back away from them. Tim Cook called it the biggest leap forward since the original iPhone, and nothing less than the future of the smartphone. It's a bold statement, but one Apple had to make. Samsung's Galaxy S8, released earlier this year, attempted to position the company as the industry's new flag bearer when it comes to design, and though Apple will insist it doesn't matter what rivals say, it wasn't going to take that line down. So the iPhone X, the X is a 10, not an X, comes with fighting talk. For the first time, Apple launched 3 brand new iPhones in one event: the iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus and iPhone X. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus models are the immediate successors to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, offering faster processing, a better screen, wireless charging and sharper cameras without some of the more radical changes coming in the iPhone X. They're available in 64 GB and 256 GB capacities, starting at $699. While the Plus model starts at $799. Pre-orders open on September 15th, followed by availability on September 22nd. After spending some time with the new iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, I did the same with the iPhone X a bit earlier. Here's a closer look at what it's been like to use them. Design. Without looking closely, it's easy to mistake the iPhone 8 for the iPhone 7. But flip it over and you'll notice a big change. The back of the new iPhone is made of glass, which is part of the reason it's able to support wireless charging. It's a refreshing change from the aluminum design Apple's implemented over the past several years, but I noticed that it does make the phone more prone to fingerprint smudges than its predecessors. Screen. The iPhone is finally getting a feature that the iPad has had for some time: True Tone Display. This adjusts the white balance to match the lighting in a given area. Holding it alongside my iPhone 7 Plus, I certainly noticed a difference. The iPhone 8 screen had more of a yellowish glow to it, making it slightly easier to read the text of a web page than on my iPhone 7 Plus. Camera. Apple claims the iPhone 8's improved 12-megapixel camera will bring a host of enhancements to photos. During my hands-on session, I had the chance to get a taste of some of these changes. The iPhone 8 Plus's portrait mode, for example, now works when you're taking photos with the front camera. And a new feature called portrait lighting makes it possible to play with the way the shadows hit your subject's face. Even in beta mode, I was able to see how the lighting shifted as it moved from stage light to contouring mode. When snapping regular photos with the iPhone 8, I noticed the shutter was able to capture the image just slightly faster than my iPhone 7 Plus. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, though not as flashy as the iPhone X, will probably be the iPhones most people opt for. They balance familiarity with new features that make the iPhone feel fresh. And it's no leap to wager many won't be willing to shell out $1,000 for a new iPhone likely to be replaced by a new and further refined version in a year. I'm also willing to bet that not everyone is ready to ditch the home button. The iPhone X drops it entirely, in favor of learning new software gestures. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus thus feel like the iPhone Apple made to sell a bazillion units, while the iPhone X is its answer to its many critics who've spent the last few years questioning Apple's ability to innovate in the smartphone space. Apple is releasing a super premium iPhone with a super premium price tag, starting at $999. The new iPhone X, pronounced like the number 10, will have a screen with higher resolution and richer colors. It will also lose a distinct home button to make more room for the 5.8-inch display. That's slightly more than the Plus model's 5.5 inches, though the phone size is closer to the regular iPhone model. The features are similar to what Samsung offers. The new design will enable new ways to interact with the phone. Instead of pressing the button to get the home page, you swipe up instead. Apple is also offering the ability to unlock the phone with facial recognition rather than a fingerprint or passcode. Though some Android phones offer this, Apple is adding sensors to improve performance and says it worked with mask designers during testing to improve security. An executive initially failed to unlock the phone this way in a demo Tuesday, though. The new phone, which is coming November 3, will also permit animated emojis that mirror your facial movements and promises 2 more hours of battery life than what's in the current iPhone 7. Such an iPhone has been widely anticipated for the iPhone's 10th anniversary and comes just weeks after Samsung unveiled its own super premium phone, the $930 and up Galaxy Note 8. iPhone 8. Apple is refreshing its lineup of iPhones with camera, display and speaker improvements. The new phones promise to shoot pictures with better colors and less distortion, particularly in low light settings. The display will adapt to ambient lighting, similar to a feature in some iPad Pro models. Speakers will be louder and offer deeper bass. The new iPhone 8 will keep its predecessor's size, 4.7 inches, but have a higher starting price of $699. Up from $649. The 5.5-inch iPhone 8 Plus starts at $799, up from $769. The new phones come out September 22. Apple is bucking its traditional naming convention by calling the new phones iPhone 8 rather than 7S. The S designation might have given consumers the impression that the new phones are mere incremental updates from the current iPhone 7. The Plus version will continue to have 2 camera lenses and now has the ability to optimize lighting as you shoot. Both versions will allow wireless charging. Many Android phones, including Samsung's, already have this. Apple Watch. Apple is coming out with a new smartwatch designed to be less dependent on the iPhone. A new model will still require a companion iPhone, but comes with cellular access. That makes it possible to do more, like receiving messages, while the phone is at home. The watch will use the same number as the phone. The feature will require a $5 or $10 data add-on to an existing phone plan. The new cellular model, called Series 3, will start at $399. One without cellular goes for $329, down from $369 for the comparable model now. The original Series 1, without GPS, sells for $249, down from $269. The new watch comes out September 22. Existing Apple Watches will get a software update next Tuesday that will provide more analysis of your heart rate. The Series 3 also delivers warnings for elevated heart rate when you don't appear to be active. Apple TV. A new version of the Apple TV streaming device will be able to show video with sharper 4K resolution, a step up from standard high definition, and a color improvement technology called high dynamic range. Many rival devices already offer these features. However, there's not a lot of video in 4K and HDR yet, nor are there many TVs that can display it. Apple says it's been working with movie studios to bring titles with 4K and HDR to its iTunes store. They will be sold at the same prices as high-definition video, which tends to be a few dollars more than standard definition versions. Apple says it's working with Netflix and Amazon Prime to bring their 4K original programs to Apple TV, too. The 4K version of Apple TV will cost $179 and ships on September 22. A version without 4K will cost $149. I know what many of you are thinking. There is no way you'll pay $1,000 or more for an iPhone. Let's revisit this thought in 6 months after you've sashayed out of your local phone store clutching the new iPhone X, Samsung Note or another smartphone that is doing its best Chuck Yeager impression and breaking the smartphone price barrier. Even if many consumers balk at the $1,000 and up price, introducing a new model of super luxury iPhone for the first time, with a cost to match, is the type of clever pricing strategy that keeps Apple thriving even if there's lackluster demand for its products. The company doesn't get enough credit for the work of actuaries, market researchers or whoever else is cooking up prices in unglamorous corners of Apple's headquarters. Hats off to you, nerds. The smartphone barrier. 4 figures. While everyone fixates on the $1,000 smartphone barrier, I'm watching the potential for the new devices to help Apple reach a different barrier-breaking sonic boom, the $700 iPhone revenue average. The ultra-premium iPhone X, plus slight price increases Apple made to the less fancy new iPhones, should help the company get there. Since 2009, Apple has consistently generated an average of $600 to $700 from each iPhone it sells, according to Bloomberg Gadfly calculations based on iPhone sales in rolling 12-month periods. Almost no matter what happens at Apple or in the world, the revenue the company takes in from each iPhone has been pegged in that range. Analysts expect that figure to reach $697 in Apple's fiscal year ending in September 2018. And any upside has perhaps the biggest potential to give Apple a happy surprise. Yes, the iPhone's average sale price is well below its peak during the 2015 holiday season, but lately Apple has been finding subtle ways to push the average back up. With the revision to its larger screen plus phone in 2016, Apple added about $20 to the starting price. Analysts estimate a larger percentage of iPhone buyers opted for the Plus in the last year compared with previous versions of the same model. The company also added one and then a second cool iPhone color that people could get only if they ponied up at least $100 more than the base price. Thanks to the steadily increasing average price of its iPhone line this year, the company's revenue from iPhone sales increased 3.6% in the first 9 months of its 2017 fiscal year, which ends this month, even though the company sold only 2.2% more iPhones than it did in the year earlier period. That's the power of steadily rising average sale prices combined with the mammoth size of Apple's iPhone business. And now Apple is introducing an even more expensive high-end phone for its super loyalists. Of course, It's tough to predict what percentage of iPhone buyers will pay $1,000 or more for a little slab of glass and circuits. The chief executive of Canadian mobile phone company BCE said Tuesday that the iPhone X had a product price we're all fearing. And those big bright screens are in limited supply for people who do want them. But even the conventional new iPhones are more expensive and will help lift that Apple average. The new iPhone 8, the upgrade to last year's model, has a base price that is $50 more than last year's model at $699. The Plus version got a $30 base price bump from last year, to $799 and up. Both start with more digital storage space than previous models, but it's worth noting that extra storage doesn't cost Apple that much. The company is packing a lot of technology inside these phones, and charging high prices in return. It doesn't take much higher iPhone price averages to make a big difference to Apple's bottom line. Bernstein stock analyst Tony Sacconaghi figures that every extra $10 in Apple's average sale price will pad the company's earnings per share by 14 cents in the fiscal year that ends next September. That works out to about $723 million in additional profit, assuming Apple's share count stays constant. That additional profit from just $10 more on the average iPhone is more than the annual net income of nearly half the companies in the S&P 500. Apple's climbing prices for the whole iPhone line is going to test how inelastic demand is for its smartphones. People may not have much choice, though. Many companies' smartphone models are becoming more expensive. The phone makers are defying gravity, and maybe common sense, too. That's not great news for shoppers' budgets, but it's terrific for Apple investors. The company has found a way to grow by making people pay more for an object similar to one they bought a year or two ago. The nerds win again. Opinion: I can already hear the keyboard strokes of Apple fanboys getting ready to abuse me on Twitter, but there is no way I am paying $1,829 Australian dollars for the iPhone X. The device has an edge-to-edge screen, with glass on the front and back and a surgical-grade stainless steel band around the sides. The company claims it's the most durable device to date. Apple has also made the device water and dust resistant, included the highest pixel density ever seen on an iPhone, and introduced facial recognition's technology. There is also wireless charging, an improved camera, and AR applications. Sure, this all sounds impressive, and for the most part it is. However, I don't feel like the technology is groundbreaking enough for me to justify forking out $1,829 Australian dollars for the 256GB iPhone X, or even $1,579 Australian dollars for the 64GB device. My reasoning has to do with the fact most of the technology showcased by Apple already exists on other phones. The biggest competitor to the 5.8-inch 64GB iPhone X is the 5.8-inch 64GB Samsung S8, which also has an edge-to-edge display, facial recognition and wireless charging. And at just $1,199 Australian dollars, the Samsung S8 is $380 Australian dollars cheaper than the $1,579 iPhone X. If you take into account Samsung's ability to expand the storage to 320GB using microSD, it's actually $630 Australian dollars cheaper when compared to Apple's $1,829 Australian dollars 256GB model. But surely you get much more bang for your buck with the iPhone X? Not necessarily. Facial recognition. While facial recognition is new for Apple products, the technology already exists on the S8. To Apple's credit, it did mention they had tested the technology with Hollywood special effects experts to see if it could be fooled with masks, and they had no luck. The iPhone X also promises the technology can't be fooled by pictures, which is something Samsung had to fix after the release of the S8. While this sounds promising, users will have to wait for the product to release to the public before it can really be tested against Apple's security claims. Hopefully it does live up. Apple also claims Face ID will adapt to your changing face over time if you do things like add glasses or get an eyebrow ring. So 90s of you. But again, this cannot be confirmed until months of use. And with the product failing already at the flagship event, it's not looking great. So what happens if you don't want to use facial recognition, or if it stops working as promised? Well, with the iPhone X your only option is to use the passcode feature as the physical home button, fingerprint scanner has been removed for the larger screen. This isn't the case with the S8, which has the fingerprint scanner located on the rear of the device. It also offers options to use an iris scanner or passcode. From my personal experience, I find the fingerprint scanner to be the quickest and easier way to unlock my device. Suffice to say, it would have been nice for Apple to offer a few more options. Wireless charging. Apple has also made it possible to kiss your charger cords goodbye with the iPhone X. As expected, the company has introduced wireless charging with its latest products, something Samsung introduced on its phones 2 years ago. The new model has been made to work with Qi wireless charging, with the company releasing its own wireless charging dock known as AirPower. While a nice addition, wireless charging doesn't offer the same speeds as a physical cable, and this is where Apple has dropped the ball. Unlike the S8's USB-C charging port, the new industry standard, Apple has opted to stick with its Lightning cable. This is despite switching to USB-C on its latest laptop models. This means unless Apple provide a Lightning to USB-C cable in the box with the iPhone X, you will need to purchase an additional $35 Australian cable to charge Apple's premium smartphone on its latest laptops. And given it was happy enough to embrace USB-C for its laptop range, why not do the same with the iPhone X? Water and dust resistance. Having smartphones that offer water and dust resistance are nothing new, but it's a shame to see the iPhone X only has an IP67 rating. This means the device is fully protected from dust and can also withstand being submerged in 1 meter of static water for up to 30 minutes. Comparatively, the S8 offers an IP68 rating, making it fully protected from dust and able to handle being submerged in 1.5 meter of static water for up to 30 minutes. While this is only a minor improvement, it's hard not be annoyed given the price difference. Display. Apple's iPhone X has a 5.8-inch display that will offer 2436 by 1125 resolution, which is once again beaten by the cheaper S8's 2960 by 1440 resolution. As a first for Apple, the iPhone X includes the OLED panel, which creates stunning colors and true blacks as each pixel creates light itself, so there is no need for backlighting. Again, this is an impressive feature for Apple to include, but the Samsung S8 has an AMOLED panel, which many believe is a step forward in organic light-emitting diode technology. Apple slightly tops Samsung with its high dynamic range, HDR, offering both Dolby Vision and HDR10, but is this worth an extra $630 Australian? I think not. Camera. Apple's iPhone 7 Plus introduced a new level of photography to smartphones, and its iPhone X has continued the trend. In terms of front-facing cameras, the cheaper S8's 8MP shooter is slightly better on paper when compared to the 7MP camera offered by the iPhone X. However, in terms of the rear-facing camera, Apple takes the cake. Despite both shooting in 12MP, the iPhone X has a dual camera on the rear of the device, which offers a better depth of field when compared to the S8's single camera. Although, it must be noted that Samsung's Note 8 also offers a dual camera on the rear of the device. And while the $1,499 Australian Note 8 is more closely priced to the iPhone X, you do get all the benefits of the S8 mentioned in this article. The Note 8 also offers a stylus and the ability to get a desktop experience using Samsung's DeX, so if the camera was your decider, it would be worth taking that into account. Conclusion. There is no denying Apple has released a solid product with the iPhone X. It has the redesign fans had been calling for since the iPhone 6s and includes a number of good features. The only problem is you can get the same features on other phones for a fraction of the cost. So do I think it's worth spending more than a laptop on an iPhone? Sadly not.